Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we'll be talking about an audio industry tragedy, YouTube being sued, and a whole lot more, so go ahead and stick around. Let's start with the tragedy for the audio industry, and this comes from a manufacturer by the acronym AKM. There was a fire at the AKM semiconductor plant in Japan, which is short for Asahi Kasei Microsystems. But why am I even talking about this? How does this affect you? Why is this an audio industry tragedy? It's because AKM makes a lot of the ADCs and DACs that audio companies make, that consumer and professional audio companies make. Some examples of those are solid state logic, SSL, that may be the new SSL, whatever the interface is. I'm drawing a blank right now. Tascam, Mini DSP, Merging Technologies, SPL, and RME, to name a few of them. So if you want any products from these companies, I use the RME ADI2 Pro headphone amp DAC combo thing. I think that uses a chip out of this AKM factory. But if you want any of those products from these companies that use AKM chips, it would have been a good idea to buy them a few days ago. Maybe buy them now in case you want them in the next 6 months. I should note, nobody was harmed in the fire. That's the most important thing. But unfortunately, they are estimating that it will be about 6 months before the factory can be up and operational again. So we may see a limitation on the access or the availability of some audio products that use ADC and DAC chips, analog to digital and digital to analog converters from AKM. I will go ahead and link an article about the fire if you want to read a little bit more, and I'm just happy that everybody got out safe, and I hope that everybody is taken care of and they get up on their feet sooner rather than later. Now let's jump to some YouTube news, and this is some really exciting YouTube news. YouTube is being sued by creators of channels who have been banned and deleted. How exciting. Law talk, lawyer talk, lawsuit talk. You know what? When I started a podcast, my thought was I really hope that one day I get to talk about lawsuits and to read through lawsuit documentation. That is the one thing that I am dreaming about doing. And lo and behold, here we are, a mere 5 years later. And I get the thrilling opportunity to read through legal documentation and share that information with you. Regardless, according to the completely even-handed, middle-of-the-road, unbiased, non-politically leaning outlet The Verge, this comes from channels that were Q-Anon Conspiracy Channels or Q-Anon tangentially related channels, some weird wording there. Oh, it was Pizzagate adjacent conspiracy, something like that. That's what they said. And I just have to say I am glad that these channels are suing regardless of whether or not I agree or disagree with what they're saying, because I think they are ultimately going to be fighting for the independent creator. And when you have such a mismatch of power here with YouTube and the creator, I think it's good that the creator may be getting a little bit more of a voice. But when we look at the lawsuit, the title of it is Complaint for Breach of Contract, Breach of the Covenant of Good Faith and Fair Dealing in Violation of the First Amendment. And because that was so exciting and thrilling, and I am almost 100% certain everybody is sitting in their chair saying, "What's next, Bandrew? What's next? Tell me, what's next? I can't wait!" I'll go ahead and read the rest for you, or at least the summary. I'm not going to read you the whole lawsuit. It's probably dozens and 50,000 pages. I don't know how long it is. I didn't read the whole thing. Here's the summary of the lawsuit. The lawsuit and request for an emergency injunction addresses YouTube's October 15th, 2020 purge of accounts in which YouTube abruptly deleted conservative content from its platform and terminated the accounts and channels that had hosted that content. YouTube's massive deplatforming, which occurred just 3 weeks before the 2020 presidential election, worked to the severe detriment of both conservative content creators and American voters who seek out their content. YouTube took this draconian action so swiftly that the plaintiffs, conservative content creators with whom YouTube had a contractual relationship memorialized by YouTube's terms of service, received no advance notice and were not able to download their content. Why did YouTube do this? To frustrate the contracts and to mollify its partner, Congress, which just days before had passed H.R. 1154, a resolution condemning the existence of conservative content, which it characterized as conspiracy theories on the internet. In this action, plaintiffs seek immediate and emergency relief from defendants' breaches of their contract with plaintiffs, which have worked to completely deny plaintiffs the benefits of the contracts and services of which they bargained, to obliterate plaintiffs' livelihoods, and to deprive both plaintiffs and their subscribers of their First Amendment rights. Given that the presidential election is approaching on November 3rd and that plaintiffs routinely provide news, commentary, and information about issues that are directly relevant to that election, plaintiffs seek immediate and emergency relief by way of a temporary restraining order and/or injunction to avoid irreparable harm that cannot be cured or later resolved through monetary damages alone. Once the issue of emergency relief has been resolved, plaintiffs intend to amend this complaint to add claims for money damages along with causes of action for inter alia, intentional interference with prospective economic advantage. However, given the urgency of this action, this initial complaint is directed exclusively to the emergency relief that plaintiffs seek. Like I said, absolutely thrilling content and thrilling, especially when someone as lively as me is reading it. I know every single person watching and listening was on the edge of their seat their entire time. With that being said, why does this matter? Why is this important? Because there are a lot of people who start YouTube channels, build up those YouTube channels over years, and eventually, those YouTube channels that they've built up over years becomes their career. And it is horrifying to me. It's a horrifying prospect that YouTube can change their policy and it will apply retroactively to everything you've done on this platform and then delete your channel with little to no notice. That is a horrifying prospect. Even if you don't agree with what the channels that were banned were saying, you should have no issue, no problem with the idea of creators having some kind of resource and fighting back against a massive multinational, multi-billion-dollar company saying you don't get to exist here, bye-bye. That shouldn't be a controversial take. And if you are perfectly okay with YouTube changing their policy, applying those policies retroactively, and banning creators without actual notice, without giving them an opportunity to back up their data, then I imagine you would have no problem with this following situation that I'm going to outline right now. Let's say you go into work every single day and your job is to make blue widgets. You place them in a stack behind you, and you do this every day for years and years. After years of doing this, you have a stack of 1 million blue widgets sitting behind you. Amazing work. You've been killing it. You've been doing such a great job. Well, guess what? Your boss just called an all-hands meeting. You go into the meeting and they say, sorry, you can no longer make blue widgets. Blue widgets are illegal. Here at this company, only red widgets will be allowed. You start thinking, oh my God, all I do is make blue widgets. The only thing that I have in my office are blue widgets. I have millions of blue widgets stacked up in my office. What am I to do? And then your boss looks at you and said, you broke policy. You make blue widgets. You have 1 million blue widgets in your office. You're fired. Get out of here. That's how I view this entire situation. I understand that policy and rules will change. The difficulty is, do you apply those rules and those changes retroactively? And if you do apply those policy changes retroactively, how long of the notice do you have to give the creators who you're going to ultimately ban? Do you have to give them an appropriate amount of time to download all of their videos, to notify their subscribers, or are there infringements or infractions on your new policies so bad that they are no longer allowed to talk to the people that they have built up an audience of over years and years? That's how I view this entire situation with YouTube and how they banned these creators, and why I'm glad that that these creators are suing YouTube. Even if I don't agree with what they say, because I have no idea what they talk about. I have no idea what QAnon is, other than that JFK thing that I talked about the other day, that he's coming back and he's going to run as vice president with Trump. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't care if that's what they're talking about. The fact that YouTube changed policies, applied those policies retroactively, and gave these creators zero notice that their channels were going to be deleted, so they lost the ability to back up all of the content that they have uploaded to YouTube for years and years. That's my issue, and that's why I'm glad they're suing. And with that being said, I will end this analysis by saying I am so sick and tired of all of this. Everything has become so incredibly hyper-politicized, even YouTube. YouTube was supposed to be just a place where we go and look at dumb cats rolling around and they're just being cute, sticking their hands out of boxes and stuff, and now it's turned into this hyper-politicized hellscape that none of us can escape. Oh, this person's being banned because they're conservative. This person because they're a conspiracy theorist. This person because they're crazy far left and they're calling for violence. Well, this person's right-wing. They're calling for violence. I don't give a crap. Shut up. Shut up. This is not supposed to be a hyper-politicized place, yet it is. And I don't know if it actually is hyper-politicized or if if that is just getting pulled to the top because we're so close to an election in the US. I don't know what it is, but it's driving me insane, and I don't think I'm the only one. I cannot wait for all of this to be over because it is maddening, and I feel as though I'm being gaslit every frickin' day. It is taking everything in me to not swear right now. It's all stupid, and I am just incredibly sick of it, and I will end by summarizing my extremely controversial take. I think that independent content creators, I hope that independent content creators and creators on YouTube are treated fairly by YouTube. I hope that individual people are treated fairly by a multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation. Oh my God, did Bandrew just say that? He must be a conservative. Shut up. Shut up. Just because I want people to be treated fairly doesn't mean I'm left or right. Shut up. That's a stupid thing. I'm making a straw man, and I'm calling him stupid. That's stupid of me. Shut up, Bandrew. You're being stupid. I'll link the lawsuit if you want to read through that thrilling document. Now let's jump to what I have been testing, and you have been listening to it. This is going to conclude the run of the Townsend Labs Sphere L22, I believe the model number is, a XLR, I think it's 5-pin, goes to dual XLR. You run it through a universal audio interface, or you do have plugins in your DAW, and you can model a whole heap ton of microphones. Really cool stuff, and I have enjoyed using it. I'm going to be doing a review next week, I think it is. Really a fun microphone. Let me know what you thought of this. I know I screwed up last week, but what are you going to do? You make mistakes sometimes. All in all, very powerful, and if you want a microphone that just does a lot, and I mean a lot, it's just like the Antelope Audio Edge Go. It may not be the 100% accurate representation of the microphones that it's modeling, but it captures the character of it, and in some instances, I think the models kind of sound better than the original. There you go. $1,400, $1,500, something around there. A lot cheaper than buying a U67, a U87, whatever else there is in there. A lot cheaper than that. $416, I think that's in there as well. So let me know what you thought of this mic in the comments down below. Now let's jump to what you had to say. And the first comment comes from Ali Falah. They say, "Hey Bandrew, I love your show. I have a question. Would leaving my audio interface on for 3 to 5 hours result in it being damaged? Do audio interfaces wear off at all? Thanks for the great videos." Ali, thank you very much for the comment. And to answer it, I don't think leaving an audio interface on for 3 to 5 hours would damage it at all. I have my audio interface on frequently for 6 hours. I have used an AI and audio interface for 12 hours straight in constant use and had no issues with it. I don't think that audio interfaces really go bad very quickly. The components that I would assume would go bad would maybe be the power supply, or if it has transistors or resistors or something. In a lot of older electronics, you see those components start to bulge, but I don't think that's over an hour time frame. I think that's over years and maybe decades. I think most likely what will lead to you having to replace an audio interface would be the connection no longer being there, no longer using a USB 1.0 port, whatever it is. There are still people who are using 10, 15-year-old audio interfaces because they work well for them. Now, of course, there will always be faulty units no matter what audio interface you pick up, no matter what product you pick up, there will be faulty units, so you will run into that issue. And as you get to more complex audio interfaces, there are a lot more components that could potentially go bad. So while you're shopping around for your audio interface, keep that in mind. Do you want something that's just plug in, it doesn't need any drivers, it has very few parts, plug it in, converts my microphone into a digital signal, and we're good to go? Or do you want essentially an audio interface with a set of computer chips inside? And how often do computers go bad? They go bad way too much, and I hate them. You got to make that trade-off. Do you want the additional functionality with the additional complexity that comes along with it, which may mean the additional risk of components going bad? Or do you want very simple, very straightforward, robust, simplistic build that may have a longer life? That's up to you, but I don't think leaving an interface on for 3 to 5 hours will damage it at all. Next, we have a comment from Stefan, and he says, "Yo, Bandrew, what's your take on taking non-vocal microphones for recording of spoken words, like a Beyerdynamic TG I51 or such gear? The frequency chart looks good to me." Do you mean like this, where I am speaking spoken word vocals voices into the Beyerdynamic TG I51 dynamic instrument microphone cardioid? Is that what you mean? Well, you tell me. Do you think this sounds good on spoken word vocals voices, even though it be a dynamic instrument microphone? I am being a little bit facetious because it's early in the morning and I'm kind of in a bad mood, but I don't mean to take that out on you. But to answer the question, I think it's perfectly fine to use an instrument microphone or a non-vocal microphone for vocal applications. I'm going to go ahead and ask everybody watching and listening to this, what is one of my all-time favorite microphones? Say it with me. The Beyerdynamic M201TG. This microphone is a dynamic instrument microphone from Beyerdynamic, and I love it on the voice. It's one of the most beautiful sounding microphones for spoken word, in my opinion, and I absolutely love it. So, yes, you can absolutely use instrument microphones, dynamic instrument microphones, condenser instrument microphones for spoken word applications, or you can use non-vocal microphones for vocal applications if they sound good for vocals. That's all that really matters. And just because I have the microphone in my hand, I have to connect it so you can hear me speaking through it. Now I am on the M201TG from Beyerdynamic. Also, full disclosure, the TG I151, whatever it is, was sent to me by Beyerdynamic. I will be reviewing that in maybe the next month or two, hopefully before 2021, but who knows? Who knows? But here is one of my all-time favorite vocal microphones, which is, in fact, not a vocal microphone. There you go. Hopefully that answered your question. Good question. Now let's jump to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. Welcome to the Ask Bandrew segment. If you have any questions, you can send them in. Just head over to askbandrew.com. There are instructions on how to send in text, video, and audio. I love audio. I love video. I've been sticking mainly to text because I don't want to have to edit all that stuff in. I have been extremely lazy, but askbandrew.com and send in some questions. I'm still working through, where are we, July. I'm really far behind. I apologize. First email comes from Chris, and he says, Hi, Bandrew. Love your YouTube channel. I'm almost 50 and don't feel cool anymore, but you crack me up and I love audio things, so here's my question. To make COVID lockdown even more fun, I've decided to ditch headsets on boring Zoom meetings and get an audio interface and XLR microphone. I'm also into music, so this isn't as overkill as it sounds. Since these pro setups weren't meant for Zoom meetings, I'm trying to see if there's an easy way to mute, unmute while on a meeting. So far, I'm trying Rogue Amoeba Sound Source to jump into the input setting where they have a hotkey to mute there. Just wondering if you've come up with a better way to mute yourself, say when live streaming, or maybe you just don't care. Hi from Canada. Thanks and keep up the good work. Chris, that is an excellent question and something that I love. I love having a physical mute button. I love having that on a mixer, on any device. I love the ability to mute. As you mentioned, most devices, most audio interfaces, most microphones do not have that, and I had to go to a physical option. I recommend the Rolls Mic Mute MM11 Pro and MS111 Pro. One is a foot switch, and one is a little finger press button. They're made in the USA. They're built really well. They just have XLR ports on the back. They pass through 48 volts phantom power to your microphone if you need it. And you can change it to press to talk, or you can change it to press to mute. Really cool physical devices. Sometimes it doesn't work as well, and it's not an actual mute. It attenuates the signal by 50 dB, something like that. So if you were to still scream into your microphone during a Zoom meeting, people would maybe hear you. But I'm assuming that Zoom has some kind of noise gate in there as well, which would likely cut off anything that is around negative 50 dB in terms of levels. So that is what I would recommend. The Rolls MS111 is the one that I like. I like having this sitting on my desk so I can just press it when I need it. Or if you want a foot switch, the MM11 Pro. There you go, Chris. Hope that helps. Best of luck on the Zoom meetings and hope they have not been too boring. Next email comes from Philip and he says, "Hi, congratulations with the U67 reissue. Bro, I saw your unboxing video and noticed that there was no Neumann box with stickers. I bought this microphone too for the full price without the Neumann box. I'm worried my dealer could fool me and sold me B-stock mic. Did you buy it as B-stock or brand new? I'm trying to figure out if the absence of a box is normal. Kind regards, Philip." Philip, thank you very much for the email. If you don't know what Philip is talking about, I recently got a Neumann U67 reissue, and I love this microphone with all of my being. I will link the unboxing video that I did in the episode notes down below. Did I buy this brand new or B-stock? I bought this brand new and it took a month or two to arrive. The reason being these are manufactured in such low quantity, I had to place the order and then I had to wait for my dealer to actually get the microphone in stock. I essentially put down my order and was put on a waiting list. So when the U67 reissue came in, it got labeled with my name and sent right out to me. Not B-stock, not nothing. This is brand new. And if mine didn't have a Neumann box and yours did not have a Neumann box, I'm going to go ahead and assume that none of the new stock come with Neumann boxes or Neumann stickers. Thank God, no Neumann stickers, but it would be nice if they threw in a pin or something, although you do get a suitcase for it. All in all, I'm really thrilled with it, and I don't think that it's B-stock. They could have screwed me over and sent me some kind of reused model, and if you're wondering I don't want to say how much it is, if you're wondering what the microphone looks like, there you go. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Tube, and I love it, and I cannot wait to use it a bit more. Philip, I hope that helped. I hope that put your mind at ease a little bit, and best of luck with the U67. I hope you get as much joy and use out of it as I'm going to with mine. And the last email comes from Rod, and he says, "Hey, Bandrew, I'm looking to purchase the Beyerdynamic DT770 Pro headphones. They come in 32, 80, and 250 ohms. Is there any tonal difference in the three, or is it just you need a more powerful headphone amp to drive them? Thanks, and stay awesome. Rod, thank you very much for the email, and that is an excellent, excellent question. I will start by saying this. I have only used, I believe, the 32 or 80 ohm DT770s. I have not used all three of them, so I am not able to speak from personal experience, but from my research online, there is a difference in the tone between 3280 and 250. I don't recall what the difference is off the top of my head, so you would have to go and look up difference between 3280, 250 for the DT770s. There are threads and threads and threads talking about the differences, which ones people prefer, which ones are bad, which ones are good. You can also check out YouTube channels. I believe there have been a few videos discussing and not demonstrating, because I don't think they demonstrated it, but talking about the differences between the different models of DT770s, and that may also be helpful. Sorry I can't be more help. I don't have the experience that would be required to speak at length about it. Best of luck, Rod. I hope maybe you already got these, because this was sent in July. I'm guessing you didn't wait for my answer. You didn't wait until November thinking, I hope one day he answers so I can buy my headphones. I'm guessing he already bought them. So let me know in the comments what you got. And I'm guessing somebody else is saying, well, if you already bought them, why are you answering the question? Because if somebody is asking me a question, I'm assuming not only one person had that question, multiple people most likely had that question, and maybe somebody will be listening and thinking, oh, there's different versions of the DT770s, and they have different tones based on the impedance? I should look into that. And now you are learning something new. How cool is that? That's why I'm still answering it, even though it is 4 months later. Sorry. And I think that's actually going to wrap up for today, because I got nothing else to talk about and I wanted to take it a little bit easy. And you're probably thinking, but Bandrew, you take it easy every single week. Yeah, I do. This is a hobby for me. Of course I'm going to take it easy. I don't make money off of doing this. This is something I do for fun. And when it's not fun, I don't want to do it. And I want it to remain fun. I want to continue to want to do it. But I hope you had an amazing Halloween. Sorry for scolding you there for a second. I hope you had an amazing Halloween. How was mine? Thank you so much for asking. Very kind of you. It was wonderful. Nobody stopped by. I had a Benadryl in my system and I was asleep by 8, or in bed by 8. I was probably out by 9. I got like 9-10 hours of sleep last night because of the hour kickback. Pretty cool stuff. Don't forget to fall backwards. Hours 1 hour behind, unless you're in one of those weird states that doesn't have daylight savings. Also, the Geeks Rising crew and I just did a live stream talking about some of our favorite horror films. We did that on the 30th, and if you want to see that, you can just go to geeksrising.com. Check it out. There's a drop down for Geeks Rising live streams, or it should be a very recent post to this. Go check that out if you want 12 recommendations for horror films. Really cool stuff recommended. And I will talk to you next week. I love you so much. You're amazing. Thank you for sticking around, sticking with me. If you are in the U.S., do research and then go vote. And I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will talk at you again. I love you. You're beautiful. You're amazing. I'll talk to you then. Bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.